Peabnut is the world's greatest Megaman player in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Megaman is a mid-tier character in this game, often overlooked and quite unique to play, but Peabnut has managed to push the character to great heights that many thought impossible. Peabnut has also recently caught the eye of the competitive Pokemon community, specifically the Gen 3 OU scene. Despite only picking up the format very recently, he is an extremely fast learner, already achieving an impressive number 3 rating on the leaderboard and qualifying for the November viability rankings. I'm honored to be chatting today with such a multi-talented gamer on the fridge. How's it going, Peabnut?
Hi, Jim. I'm happy to be here.
It's an honor. It's been cool to see you try out Gen 3 and pick it up so quickly. We're all very impressed with your results.
Yeah, I have you to thank. I got into Gen 3 OU because of your videos.
Glad to hear it. First question for you. I wanted to ask, what's the origin of your username Peabnut? It's a bit of a humorous one.
Yeah. So off rip, anyone could look at it and be like, that looks familiar. That looks like another word I know, right? It looks like peanut or peanut butter altogether. There's just like a couple weird fellas in there. The letter B. It comes from an odd show, like animated show from a YouTube channel, Mondo Media, like way back in the day. Let's say like around a decade ago. That channel had an animation series on it called like Batman and Spider-Man, which is just like very poorly drawn Batman and Spider-Man if they were roommates. And in that world, they would call peanut butter Peabnut Bubber, and I thought it was hilarious a decade ago. Yeah,
that sounds like some good old 2000s humor.
Yes.
Well, that's a fun origin story. What drew you to picking up Megaman in Smash Ultimate? Was it a fondness for the game series itself, a desire to play with a more unique character that was overlooked?
So the joke answer that I often tell people is that I play him because he is blue, and I like the color blue. But it's a little bit more than that. It's not because of like me liking the series or anything like that. I haven't really played the Mega Man games.
Really?
I just like him in Smash. Yeah. I remember playing him when he came out for Smash 4 and feeling like this was unlike any other character I had played in the past, and I just instantly loved it. A new experience, and I just clung on to that and have just stuck with him for all these years.
He's one of the most unique characters in the game. It's pretty well adapted from the actual Mega Man games as well. It's pretty cool how they did it.
Yeah, even just moving with him feels, even though I haven't played the games much, I've played a little bit of the Mega Man games, it feels just like it.
You should play the Mega Man games, they're really good. Mega Man 2?
A lot of people tell me. I did play that. I did actually play it. I felt like I was obligated to. Yes. Now I didn't finish it, but it was fun while it lasted.
That's a beautiful game. Great soundtrack as well.
Yes.
And how is it competing in Smash Ultimate these days? I mean, it feels like it's a slightly controversial game. There's always people talking about Steve and like, is the game even in a good state right now? I think people hate Sonic too. I don't know. I played it when it first came out, but there's a lot more characters now. It feels a bit more chaotic than it once was.
So I would say I like it, okay? A lot of people out there may dislike it. That's fine. I'll let them say what they want. And you may be hearing those people more than you hear me. Just because I don't know, I don't talk that much, I guess. But competitively speaking, I don't mind any Steve. I don't mind any Kazuya. I don't mind any other problematic character you might be thinking of. They're all just more challenges for me to conquer, more fun like thought experiments, more experiences, period. So I welcome pretty much all of it.
It's a good attitude. I have no idea how it is to actually play against Steve. I've just heard people talk about it. I've seen a bit of gameplay. He does look a bit silly, like he's flying on minecarts across the screen and making blocks. And it's one of the most ridiculous Smash characters I've ever seen in the franchise, just in terms of what he's visually doing. I
agree. I think chaotic is a great word for describing Steve. There is so much going on, but I used to suck when I played up against Steve. But over time, you can make that chaos work for you, and that it's a great feeling.
Sounds fun. We've got a question from Alice and Pains, who asked, "What player do you enjoy playing against in Ultimate the most?"
Which player? So there are a couple answers. I like playing against Lema, who is one of my teammates. Reason being, we frequent the same tournaments and we see similar experiences. So like when you get to fight someone who I guess is similar to you in some ways, but very different in others. You get to see like you at your worst and you at your best, and then you can see how to improve from that. He's like a foil, or maybe like jelly to my peanut butter or something like that. I also like playing. I love the opportunity to play any top player, especially players from out of or international players, because you just don't get the opportunity to play these guys who have come from such a different, I guess, background, different culture, different ways of thinking, right? So you can see how that translates to their gameplay in some ways.
That's true. It's one of the things I like about the Smogon Pokemon community is that it's just all online, so there's no international barrier. You can play with anyone in the world at any time. There's scheduling issues, but there's no lag when you play.
Yeah, I believe you like interviewed Megaman or something, who's from some European nation.
Yeah, he's French.
You probably get that often.
He's French, and I think ABR's American. Blues Energy's Italian, and then you get certain team archetypes named after like countries. Like Italian offense. I think there was one called Spanish Webs in Gen 6 or something. I saw that in the sample teams because like I'm familiar with those ideas too. I love Brazilian Titar, actually. Love that guy. Oh, yeah. We got a question from Kalas who asked, what Pokemon knowledge is used in Smash and vice versa? How do the games cross over in that sense, do you think?
So I feel like I could go on an hour-long video on just this question, but let's keep it simple. You get to think about your options and just how to win as efficiently as possible. If, for instance, I team build in such a way where like I value like the idea of what wins me the game on the spot, then you may value a character in Smash that can like execute that idea in a similar way. Like let's say I value getting a Dragon Dance up turn 1 and then sweeping with my Ments or whatever. Then you would probably like to play Kazuya or Luigi in Smash Bros. Because you can just get a grab instantly and then 0 to death the opponent. Your values will lead you to different kinds of play, different characters, different decisions that you make with your character, or different teams and different decisions you use with your Pokemon teams.
That's an element of player expression, I guess. You choose what to play based on your own subjective idea of what's good or how you prefer to push for a win, whatever that may be. That's cool. How do you think that you picked up Pokemon so quickly in terms of... takes people a while to achieve the rating you achieved. It's very impressive. You a fast learner in general with competitive games, or is this what just clicked with you in particular?
So I've been playing Pokemon on and off for like a decade.
Right.
I may not be the man you think I am. I did not like pick up Pokemon overnight. I picked up Gen 3 in the span of like a year or so.
What formats did you play before?
Just whatever is the current gen OU. I think I've been playing since like Gen 6 OU.
So quite a while.
If we look back at my replays, I think that's what you'll find, like Gen 6 OU stuff, maybe tail end of Gen 5.
How serious were you into it? Were you going for high ladder positions back then as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started off just by making teams of my favorite Pokemon and would just like try to win with that. But I would say like maybe Gen 7 OU or something like that. I'm like, let's see if I can get high ladder. And I never ever tried to get high ladder with something that isn't my team. I would always try to make my own team. And that's the same case for what happened here with my Gen 3 OU run.
Apologies, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you had such experience under your belt. I thought you were relatively new to the game. Gen 3 is very unique though, compared to the other gens.
Yes, it is.
How has it been picking that up? Have you found it more challenging or unique? And especially compared to like Gen 6 onwards, it's quite different, I think.
Yeah. So off rip, it's way more different than I thought it would be. The physical special split is not present in this game, and it's present in everything after it. The available Pokemon, there's just way fewer Pokemon for you to toy around with. There's no Mega Evolution, no Z moves, no nothing. I like it a lot for that reason. I believe you've compared Gen 3 OU to Melee in the past. And even though I play Ultimate, I'm a big Melee enjoyer as well. And I can see the parallels that you make between Melee and Gen 3. I like both.
Some people are upset with me for that comparison, but yeah, I think it's just a simple way to explain where Gen 3 stands compared to all the other Pokemon games, where it's sort of limited, but then varied at the same time, if that makes sense.
It does. It's like because there's so many limitations, as in like there's not a million different Pokemon for you to play with, and there's only like one good item, maybe two, right? You only got your lefties and you only got your choice band, maybe like a pinch berry, right? Like with so few options, you got to make the most of what you have. So limited, but so variable, right?
And it happens to strike a balance of that seemingly by accident, similar to how Melee feels. A lot of stuff in Melee was unintentional, but it did stem from good game design at some stage. It's not like they were trying to design a good competitive game when they were making Melee, but they put a lot of care into like the engine and how things feel. I think it's same with Gen 3. There's a lot of new mechanics that were introduced in Gen 3. There were a lot of like interesting Pokemon designs, and every little new guy in Gen 3 feels pretty unique, and because they're unique and they do interesting stuff nothing else does, a lot of them can find niches for themselves, like Lunatone, Lantern, Roselia, like random little Pokemon. I think that's where it's also similar.
I agree, and we've been seeing that in Melee too, actually. You got your
It's true.
like funny little guy happening a lot in Melee recently. Like Link has been in the news recently. He's a funny little guy, but he's been taking big names. Same with Donkey Kong, right? These guys you wouldn't expect somehow are making it to the top, and it's wonderful.
It's fun to see. The game's been out for so long, people are just maybe out of boredom. I think that's what Junebug said. Was he's a Pro Project M player, but he just felt like picking up DK and Melee out of curiosity to see what crosses over from PMDK. He saw more success than he expected. He just stuck with it.
Yeah. Just bored one day, you experiment a little, and you like what you see, and now we're here.
That's how it always starts. What if we try Electrode? Maybe Electrode could do something, and then all of a sudden it's in SPL, winning a game randomly.
I've tried Electrode. I don't recommend it.
It's probably sucks, but there's something there. It's faster than Arrow. There's something going on.
Yeah, maybe some Rain Dance, Thunders. I don't know. It's got Explosion.
Explode and T-Wave and like Light Screen is probably the best stuff it's got. Well, what did you use on your Gen 3 run to hit that high ladder position, out of curiosity? What kind of team?
So I'll just go ahead and list the Pokemon, I guess. Or maybe I'll pass you the paste. But Pokemon on the team started with Hariyama. And then I added... So there's like a bunch of different influences for this team. Let me start from the real beginning. I saw the Blues video. Blues Energy making it to #1 on ladder with Slacking. And I thought that was awesome. So then I wanted to try my own Slacking team. But I was like getting hard stopped at around 1500 on ladder. So I thought about why. What is giving me so much trouble? And I came to the conclusion it's all Protect's fault. Protect and Substitute are completely ruining Slacking, and I don't know how to play around it. So then I decided to make a new team that said screw Protect completely. Screw Protect, screw Substitute. More so Protect. So first thing that went on was Hariyama, because if I knock you off, you will not be getting chip heal for the rest of the game. It does not matter if you protect, you will not be getting any heal. And then the rest of my team is just Pokemon that boost or Pokemon that explode. So I've got Ludicolo on there, who is a Rain Dancer, and then he boosts, like, let's say on the turn that you protect, and then he kills you with big Hydro Pumps or Surfs or whatever. If you protect on the turn that I Dragon Dance with my Ments, well, now I'm boosted, right? Got a boosting Jirachi, and then I've got two Boom Mons in the back, Claydol and Snorlax. This is a spikeless, sandless, mixed offense.
Sounds crazy. Is Slacking still on there?
No Slacking. He pretty much got replaced by Snorlax.
That's probably better. It sounds like
I agree.
Have some problems versus Skarm, apart from knocking it off. How are you dealing with Skarm and Spikes?
Sometimes. So Skarm, I guess I'm not that worried about revealing my secrets now that I've done my run. And well, let's say I'm probably on a hiatus, I guess, from like trying to ladder high. So I'll just say this: I've got Focus Punch on Hariyama alongside the knock. And Focus Punch just 2 hits Skarm. And so if Skarm wants to live versus Yama, it's got a Drill Peck. And if it Drill Pecks, I also have counter on the Hariyama. So it's a very funny Hariyama.
So it's just a complete Skarm lure.
It's a Skarm lure. And Jirachi's got Fire Punch on it. And just just getting a single knock on the Skarm, just connecting that knock at any point of the game, in my eyes, that is deleting the Skarm. Because chip heal is like insane. You can, if the Skarm lives at 1 HP with lefties, that's like way more dangerous to me than if it were just at full or like 99% without lefties.
It can chip heal an absurd amount, sometimes hundreds.
Thousands. So even when I get a knock and it's still at 99, I'm super happy. So then I could 1v1 the Skarm with like Snorlax, right? Even though you might see Skarm as the Snorlax counter, most people do, right?
Some Snorlaxes
without
do
lefties,
aim to beat down Skarmory, yeah, and especially if it's knocked off for sure.
Yeah. Now, that chip heal, normally the chip heal would like completely undo my damage. Like I would be doing negative damage to Skarmory with Snorlax. But with lefties gone, then Snorlax does guaranteed damage over time.
And you got the weather clear support with Ludi for the Snorlax, that's useful. Snorlax gets a lot out of chip heal. Does the Snorlax have punch as well to punch the Skarmory?
No, he just slams a lot.
That'll do it. Is it a curse? Is it a curse? Probably no, it's probably just explosion.
Yes, it is just explosion. The cool thing about this team is there are so many ways you could modify it to your liking. It could be curse Snorlax. That would be a totally viable way to run him on this squad. But I just like boom.
It's probably better to just be more immediately like apply more immediate pressure with the Snorlax. The curse sounds too slow there, especially without Magneton.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Do you have a rapid spinner on there? I'm just curious about
this. Yeah, I've got Claydol. He is there to spin and boom, and that's pretty much it.
Well, that'll do the trick. And even Ludi can leech seed Skarm.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty. I'm just
Skarm.
Fascinated by this
anything,
team. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I want to see Skarm. I have noticed that my losing matches or my less successful matches happen when I'm up against like weirder teams, teams that don't have T-Tar, teams that don't have Skarm, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Those I struggle more with.
Targeting Skarm tends to be a good idea. It's one of the most common Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
How about Gengar? How are you doing with that matchup? Usually, what's your plan there?
Gengar, I don't value Gengar that highly. I don't think of it as like a big threat. It's so like for instance, part of why I devalue Gengar, don't think much of it, is one of its big benefits of Will-O-Wisp is quite inaccurate. So like oftentimes I just end up killing it with my Snorlax from a Shadow Ball because Wisp missed. It's that simple. Like I could just not care about Gengar and it just dies. But let's say someone's got their spikes up on the field and I really want to spin. I mean, my spinner is Claydol. It's got Psychic on it. I can two-shot the Gengar. I'm EV'd to do that, and I'm EV'd to live whatever Gengar tries to do to me. Usually just like Ice Punch. And if he wants to boom to kill my Claydol, then so be it. I can either switch out at that moment, or I can just take it with the Claydol. Either way, I don't mind.
It's interesting. I feel like getting burned is a big deal, but I suppose...
So it can be a big deal. But sometimes you don't need to be burned or rather, sometimes the burn doesn't matter because let's say like if my Snorlax gets burned, boom kind of gets rid of the burn if you think about it.
Yeah, Snorlax can sometimes take the burn and even still get through the Gengar anyway. I guess where the problem lies is like Gengar takes a hit just to get the Wisp on you, on either Claydol or Snorlax, and then you're getting chipped down a lot. You're sometimes forced to boom with Snorlax off that, and then you lack a special wall against a lot of things. And now you're sort of Gengar is effectively broken through one key piece, and then from there it starts to become difficult.
Yeah. I guess I should have mentioned that my other Pokemon can also deal with Gengar. The Hariyama, very bulk invested, and can hit back with Rock Slides, and can absorb Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah, because it has guts.
Ludicolo, of course. Ludicolo just hits harder and is faster under rain, and doesn't really care about burn. Heals back with Leech Seed, what have you. Jirachi can take a burn if need be, and just Calm Mind up, and it's fine. Right?
Has a good Psychic on it?
It does not.
They're probably scared of Psychic anyway. You'll force them out a lot of the time.
True.
Well, that can be a good approach. Like instead of that's a team building idea a lot of people forget, is that sometimes your team looks weak to a Pokemon on paper, but what if all of your Pokemon have a way to threaten that guy? Then it's kind of okay. Like, you might lose a little bit of momentum or value short term to get rid of that Pokemon, but once you get rid of it, you're all good, probably. That is a team building approach some people take, and it can work.
And that's pretty much like I was gonna say every match. Like, I can just trade down, and it'll eventually be in my favor. It's the point of me having 2 boom mon. I want to I want to trade, and it's not like Gengar is killing or Skarm. At the end of the day, these are like mons that give me time to do things. I like being given time, something I value.
Oh, this is honestly pretty cool. I think you've got like a very different approach to Gen 3 team building, where you're not ticking all the same boxes people are ticking, and to get a high ladder position like that with a sandless, spikeless team. I think that was literally a challenge Vapakuno set in the Discord, was like, if you can get number 1 on ladder with a sandless, spikeless, trapless team, like no mag or dug, no sand, no spikes, like he has some reward for that, because no one can seem to do it. But you're doing pretty well with a team that fits that criteria, sounds like.
Yeah. So I did only get number 3, but maybe Vapakuno will reach out, provide me with whatever prize.
Yeah, sorry, I did spread some misinformation. I thought you hit number 1. I think I said in the post that you hit number 1. It was number 3 actually. I thought I saw number 1. I was mistaken. Sorry about that, folks.
I hope that doesn't change things.
No, it's still very good.
Especially,
it's like, I think some really good players are active right now, like H-Clat and Jumpy and stuff, that are always competing for number 1 and trying to hit the world record. I think number 1 is always like quite a bit further ahead, but it's pretty hard to get that.
Yeah, it was quite competitive. So I had like 2 spurts of like wanting to go for number 1. I did this back in December actually, and I got top 10 on the ladder with team. And then I tried again like a month or 2 ago when I got number 3. And the difference in like ladder points between December and now is like crazy. To get number 1 back in December, you needed like just above 1800 or something. Maybe not even 8. But now to get number 1 on the ladder, seems like you have to get like 1900 or close to that. So in less than a year, the elo that you need for number 1 has jumped up about 100. Crazy.
That's pretty insane.
It is. I like it. That's competition. People keep on pushing each other.
I don't know if I could do it anymore. I think people have gotten too good. I got number 1 way back in the day, but it was 1697, I think, was the amount I had, so way lower.
And I imagine you've well, I see you ladder sometimes with some funny mon. How do you, like, when do you switch between serious ladder competition versus let's bring out the C dot for today?
I don't know. My focus is more on entertaining content now. I'm not seriously laddering that much. I sometimes do feel like playing actual teams because, you know, I think that's more representative of what the format actually is, that I'm actually playing it. When I'm playing like Muck Monday, it's not really a true look at what Gen 3 is. It's more just be goofing around. But sometimes I do feel like playing like a Fortress Spikes or something. But on my run to number 1, I use just a simple Big 5 Charizard.
You know, I'm glad I didn't fight you on any Muck Monday, because Muck counters Hariyama.
It does,
So
it's
it
got
would've
sticky hold.
felt
I always
disaster.
hope to face Yama with Muck Monday, because you come in on the sticky hold, you get this... They often go to Tar for some reason, then you get the sub punch. And it feels beautiful.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Now, do not
Yeah,
go
that must
Tar
feel
against
good.
Muck, do not. It seems like it's good, but it's not. So, now that you have some experience in Gen 3 OU under your belt, what is your overall feeling about it as a competitive experience? Do you think I've overhyped it a lot in my videos, or do you think it's cool and rewarding?
Well, it's fun. If I'm not playing it, probably because even though it is fun, I just find some other things more fun at the moment. Or find that I have to do things like school or whatever. I can't be playing Gen 3 OU all the time. For the time that I have spent with it, I'd say it's rewarding because it gets me thinking all the time. It's part of it's shaped the way I think about Smash, and Smash has shaped the way I think about Pokemon. It's part of the journey of just like deepening my understanding of game theory, everything combined, the whole shebang. So I value it for, but I feel like I could get that same experience in like other formats. Like no matter what you give me, I'll still be thinking about how to win, whether it be Gen 6 OU, Gen 7, whatever. just happen to find Gen 3 really fun.
And do you think playing like a more decision-making focused game where you're not like operating in real time like you are in Smash, there's no execution involved, you think that maybe trains the muscle of decision-making, mind games, like forming a game plan in Smash? Do you think that crosses over like that?
Yes, of course it does. You can game plan out how you're going to win turn 1 in both Pokemon and Smash. You can envision like all the turns that are going to happen. And even though you mentioned that Pokemon is turn-based, you could just perceive that in Smash as well. Fighting games, typically, you'll see top players refer to scenarios as like their turn or the opponent's. In a way, if you see the game quick enough, then you can essentially just see it as turn. It becomes slow enough to you to where you now see it as turn. Whereas to other people, it may seem like it's going too fast. None of this is a turn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the concept of, neutral, and one person wins neutral and then they're taking their turn, I guess, and then you have to respond to that, figure out how to get back into a state of advantage.
That applies to both Smash and Pokemon. It's way more obvious in Pokemon, but it exists in Smash.
We got a question from Javi on Earth. I noticed you did not rank Ludicolo in your VR submission, despite being a Ludicolo enthusiast. What are your comprehensive Ludicolo opinions?
Good question, Javi. That's a good friend of mine, actually. That's Javi. But Ludicolo. Did I not rank Ludicolo on my rankings? If I recall, I ranked like 25 Pokemon or something like that, because I figured past that, like, we're getting into territory where it's quite niche. If I did not rank Ludicolo in my top 25, then I guess that really lays it out for you, huh? Even though I personally may like Ludicolo, it seems I perceive him as niche still, and he is, right? When you think of Rain Dance abusers, he's not the number one. That would probably be Kingdra, right? Kingdra's faster, stronger. You could even see Kingdra as like bulkier. I forget the stats exactly, but yeah, Kingdra is probably the number one abuser. And then when you think like Special Wall or something, you probably don't think as Ludicolo as your number one for that either. When you think Leech Seeder, you don't think Ludicolo as the number one for that either. That
more of
position will go to Celebi.
Niche guy who combines all those things is the only one that combines all those things. Makes it stand out, but it's not going to fit on a wide selection of teams, so you can't really rank it that high. I think ABR ranked Ludicolo, if I remember correctly. I think he values good weather Claymons.
Mm-hmm. That's a valuable niche, just setting the rain as well, not abusing it, but setting it. But yeah, you're right. Ludicolo seems like a more well-rounded mon. It doesn't do anything particularly extremely well, but for this team, it just happened to fit all the boxes I needed, and so I used him. And I am fond of him, but I imagine he doesn't work that well in many teams, so that would be why I did not rank him in my VR.
I think he's untapped. There's more ways to use him than people think, and he's pretty good. And sorry, ABR did not rank
also
him.
True.
Some players did though, such as Endil ranking him 30th. That's pretty high praise actually. And you put Skarm number 1 over Tyranitar actually, which a lot of people agree with you. Hearing about your team building process, it makes sense. Skarm was the Pokemon you were thinking about beating the most. It probably had the highest impact on what you were doing. Even if you're not running it yourself, you're thinking about it at all stages of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I ranked Skarm number 1. More so because I wasn't a T-Tar believer. I still put T-Tar number 2, but it's just because I didn't really think of who else would be number 2. But when people rank T-Tar number 1, I think it's because they think that Sand does like a lot of the work for them. Like if Sand is up, therefore Suicune can't beat me, or Snorlax can't beat me, stuff like that. But they don't consider that Sand also prevents you from winning with Snorlax or winning with Suicune. So I don't like value T-Tar's Sand that highly, or at least not highly enough to put him at number 1. Whereas compare Sand to Spikes. Spikes purely hurts the opponent, whereas Sand hurts both people. You kind of limit your team building if you go Sand, because now it's like you can't be running Suicune, or it's going to be harder to, right? And another thing, if you run T-Tar, but the opponent also runs T-Tar, then they're running Sand too. So it's like you're not even hurting them, and the the sand that your T-Tar is bringing to the table doesn't really change anything, because it was going to be a sand game anyways, and then your T-Tar just ends up being a normal T-Tar. It's as if its ability didn't matter.
It's true. Many teams with tar on them, though, try to build in a way that sand is worse for the opponent than it is for them. And sand is set, like, with no risk whatsoever, no turn required to take. If you consider that, it does have a high impact, especially on aggressive-leaning teams like those Smeagol offense builds. Pretty much need Tyranitar or they will get kind of eaten alive by just simple defensive Pokemon and their chip heal. And you consider Pokemon like Skarmory is immune to sand, Swampert is immune to sand, Jirachi. You can run
Yeah.
even the Fortress teams that have Pursuit-Tar, Yama, stuff like that. Yama with Knock is hurting the enemy in sand way more than you, because you're knocking off their leftovers, getting way more chip heal. It basically speeds everything up, and you want that speed up to benefit you more than the opponent. It's like a universal debuff, but if you know that's happening.
Yeah. So sand has its advantages.
Yeah.
But it's hard to like guarantee these advantages, right? Like, you are super happy when you ladder with T-Tar and you're up against like Ninjask or Shedinja, and you one-shot the Shedinja or whatever. But these are not things that you're gonna run into every day. And you're happy when you ladder up against a Snorlax or a Suicune, but there's no guarantee that you meet those guys. And then even when sand is hitting the opponent, it's like, well, it doesn't, it like quote unquote nullifies their leftovers, but does it kill them? Only if they're at like 6% or lower. That's when sand actually does something in my eyes. And like, how can you guarantee that someone's going to be at 6% or lower? It's just hard to like plan out the game in such a way to where you guarantee that sand actually gets like a meaningful circumstance where it like KOs something or perfectly provides a nullification of leftovers at the moment where you needed it for the kill with your Starmie or whatever, right? You're just putting in the sand and hoping that it does work, is my perception of it. And it often does, but not always. And then compare that to spikes, compare that to knockoff, right? Spikes, pretty much always getting value unless you're up against Superman or something. And knockoff hits everyone, guaranteed value every time. And not only does it nullify leftovers, but it nullifies choice band and it nullifies pinch berries and what have you. So this is a case for knockoff and a case against sand. That's my case.
That's fair. A lot of people agree with you these days. I think that spikes is more impactful. Got a question from Dan Rooting. Asked, what are your plans after the lifespan of Smash Ultimate? Any other competitive games you're interested in, or just pushing the limits in future Smash titles?
I don't see myself moving on to other games. Pokemon, if anything, is like a side hustle compared to definitely a Smash gamer first before anything else. If Smash Ultimate dies and there is no new game that comes after, I don't know. I think I would just continue to play Smash Ult. Maybe even move on to Melee. That is an evergreen game right there. So yeah, it's just always going to be Smash.
Any interest in other fighting games? Street Fighter, Guilty Gear?
I've toyed around with Street Fighter at like my neighbor's place sometimes, but yeah, no, it's not for me.
You tried Rivals? It looks pretty cool.
I played the tutorial on a keyboard and then I quit forever. Just not for me, what can I say?
Yeah, I was excited for that game. I haven't had much of a urge to return to it though. More of a Pokemon gamer. Or a card gamer, to be honest. The Smash days are behind me.
Yeah, I think I saw you playing some Bazaar.
Oh yeah, that game's epic. Really loving that game recently.
I used to watch a lot of Hearthstone back in the day, so I'm familiar with Raynat.
Oh yeah, those were good times. I really wish that there was another like good digital card game. Again. Feels like the genre is kind of dead, except for like mobile games. And Hearthstone is not what it once was.
Yeah.
But the Bazaar's promising. It's not a card game, but it's similar in some ways.
Yeah. And don't mind me, I'm just eating some bites of food in between questions.
That's very efficient. Got an insane question from Logan Big Puppy. What the hell is this question? If put into a life or death scenario, imagine a Jigsaw-esque trap where failure results in your death. Do you think that you would be willing and able to finish a standard-sized jar of peanut butter in an hour's time? There's a lot of details in this. Like, you would have a spoon, the jar, and a table in front of you. And your ability to consume the peanut butter would not be reduced or affected by the trap in any way. There's your parameters. Would you be able to survive?
I think I can do it. I have experience eating straight from the jar. I've been doing that recently, actually. And I feel no like affiliation towards peanut butter, the food. Yeah, my name happens to be similar to it, but I'm not like #1 peanut butter fan in the world or anything.
Oh, I love peanut butter.
But I mean, it is good. And I have been eating it recently. So I think I've got the experience needed to live in this jigsaw trap.
I mean, yeah, peanut butter's heavy.
Now-
That you'd probably feel a bit ill afterwards, but you're gonna die. You gotta do it. You gotta
do it.
You just gotta force yourself to do it. What are you gonna do?
And there was no drink mentioned, right? No drink?
No, doesn't look like it. It's just you and the peanut butter.
Then I'll do what I need to do.
I mean, worst case, you die from the peanut butter. You're gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
You have to survive.
I think
this is an easy question. I think, despite how intimidating it looks.
I think I'm stronger. I think I win.
That's an easy matchup. Ether Blackbolt asked, "What are your opinions on ABR's recent interesting tier list? Did you check that out? ABR's controversial VR submission?"
Yes, I did check it out and I loved it. Loved all of it. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. How you can through Pokemon or through Smash, you can explore what you value. We see what ABR values. He's laid it out for us, and like you say controversial, but it's only controversial in the context of we don't understand it, right? We're different from ABR. We possibly know exactly. Well, I guess we kind of can know everything about him if he tells us, right? So, and that's kind of what he did here. Most rankings would say, oh, it's blasphemous to have T-Tar at like number 11 or not ranking, but most people would say that. And it's like, well, read what ABR has said and try to like come to your own conclusion about that T-Tar placement, that Blissey placement, or that whatever placement, the Mence placement. Mence placement was like enlightening to me because if anything, it's kind of made me realize the Mence on my squad has really not been putting in that much work. I run D-Dance on my squad, and like in reality, I thought he was doing work. He's like very rarely actually getting an opportunity to like sweep anyone with Dragon Dance. He's just not. I've like tricked myself into thinking that Mence is that good just because of like what history says. But I need to look at what is happening on the screen and think for myself. So ABR is a shining example of like a free thinker. I think it's just awesome and brave that he put it out there.
I think he's crazy for the Salamence ranking in particular, but it's not going to fit on every team. It sounds like on that team, I don't know if you want DD Salamence. You probably want maybe something more solid versus Tar Aero on that team or something. You got a Claydol and Jirachi, but you could use something else. Maybe that's a hunch I have.
Yeah, I can definitely see.
Sounds like Salamence wouldn't
Mence
100% fit.
Yeah. Mence, I think the best thing that Mence has done for this one is be an intimidator, a pivot, pretty much, for like meta champ.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about it, for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough lead matchup for Hariyama. It's just a faster, stronger fighter.
I almost wonder if Gara with like a more utility set would be better on your team. Similar purpose there, but it can spread T-Wave.
Yeah,
sounds pretty good.
I can see it happening, and I considered it. I considered making the swap after seeing ABR's tier list and like just looking through the reasoning. It's the important part to me. The number, that's where the eyes are drawn to, but you need to look through all of the reasoning and look through what part of it would work for you. Gara definitely could work for me, but who knows if I want to continue that team or not. Right now, I'm not gunning for number 1 anymore. I'm more Smash right now, Smash in school. And if I do play ladder, I'm trolling with like a Diglett team. Doug Trio and Diglett on the same team. Been having a lot of fun with that.
You mentioned yourself that you put Tar number 2, like out of respect almost. Do you think in honesty you might put it lower? Like if you're being truly honest with yourself? Or you do think Tar is actually number 2?
I would still have to like really think about it, because I guess I haven't really thought about it that much. Other than like I'm sure in my heart that Sand really isn't enough to bring T-Tar to number 1. But I haven't thought much past that. right? I haven't thought about like whether T-Tar is good at other things or bad at other things. I just see
He's not just sand as well. Like, you got to consider that DD Tar is just one defensive piece away from destroying any team. If you take out the Swampert, DD Tar just runs over you.
And that's a big if, though. Big if with getting rid of Swampert or getting rid of a Skarm, getting rid of any big defensive wall, getting rid of Regirock.
It's true, but I think nothing in Gen 3 wins instantly. You always got to get through the defensive piece. And Swampert is one you can get through. It's vulnerable to spikes, status, surprise grass coverage, just get taken hits over time. That's a solid game plan people have built around for years. It's just beat down the Swampert. Or whatever the rock resist may be, the Flygon, the bulky Metagross. It's a tried and true. And the fact that Tar makes sand and also threatens to win if you don't have one thing, I think is a good combination. It's doing a lot.
Yeah, Dragon Dance right there. That's the next big piece of Tar, in my eyes. But still, is that number 2 worthy? Who knows? I believe ABR would like Pursuit Tar, where I'm not big on Pursuit Tar myself. I think it's like you're spending a whole Pokemon just to kill Gengar pretty much. I feel like that's almost a waste. I mean, Pursuit Tar still has like Fire Blast and Ice Beam and whatnot, but its role is like super specific. You put it on the team because it kills Gengar. I don't know if I like that in a Mon. I don't know if I like more like, so what I'm looking for, polarizing Mon that have like one job to do, right? I mean, you can look at my team. You mentioned it earlier. It seems like my members of my team do a lot of things pretty good, rather than do one thing really well, which is funny because in Pokemon right now, in my mind, my values are starting to shift. I don't know if I like my Hariyama team that much anymore. Maybe I do like Pokemon that do one thing really well. But I'm exploring that concept in both Smash and Pokemon.
Interesting.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it can be sometimes like the Pursuit Trap on guard just simply doesn't work as well. Like you get too much spike damage. The Gar has Giga Drain. It burns you. You lose a mind game, whatever. Like, and then your team's built around trapping the Gengar and it didn't work. And now you kind of suck. It's pretty good at trapping Gengar, but sometimes it fails at that. It can be a lot to hinge on.
Sometimes you even do successfully trap the Gengar, but you lose anyways. So that just questions really how powerful that idea was to begin with. Should I have even built a team around trapping Gengar if it's not even consistently winning the game when that happened?
It's true. Well, personally, I'd love to see like a video from you or something about your thoughts on the Gen 3 metagame based on your experience and like a rundown of your team and how you arrived at it and everything. Maybe in more detail than what you've given me here. Because I think you got a pretty fresh perspective.
Thank you, Jim.
It's cool to see.
I could put a video out. I do have a YouTube channel. I am making videos right now for Smash. And I don't think we'll see if I end up making a Pokemon video. Been on my mind, but I would prefer to make Smash videos right now. I thought about making a Smogon post about
I'd love to see that too.
Like an RMT, rate my team. Thought about it, and then I was like, no, that would reveal too much of my secrets. But now maybe I don't care, right? Because I'm not gunning for number 1 anymore.
There's kind of a culture in the Gen 3 community where once like a big tournament is done or once you've sort of done what you wanted with your teams, you just reveal them. Like there's always big team dumps from McMegan and I think M-Dragon, Watermess, players like that just do a huge team dump. Explain why they brought it in the tourney. It's always awesome to read because there's always like, I was up against Johnny G2 or something in this week and I noticed he did this, so I brought like this Venusaur team or whatever.
Yeah, I love watching videos about you or like BKC reviewing someone's rate my team, or just you guys looking at famous teams from the past. Like I said earlier, watching you like review Blue's Energy's slacking team kind of in a way transitioned into my Hariyama team. Even though I'm not like very connected with the community, like I said, I thought about making a Smogon post, ended up not doing it. I don't really communicate with any Pokemon players. I think I've put like a couple messages in like an ADV Discord out there. but I'm like 99% of the time I'm just a spectator to a lot of these rate my teams or these videos or these tournament matches, whatever. And maybe we'll just keep it that way. I don't know. I like being the guy that just pops in, plays, and then
Very
leaves.
mysterious. There's value to that, like not getting influenced by others. It's nice to talk with people in the community and bounce ideas off each other. I've found I get caught up in like the conventional consensus opinions, and sometimes you can't. It's harder to think outside the box when you're just talking to people who play the same format as you every day.
There's certainly value to sharing ideas, and there are negatives too. Just try and surround yourself with people that will challenge you, I think.
Yeah, honestly, you
you'll
talking
come
about
out
your
better.
team here has gotten me excited to like try some new team ideas. ABR's VR also got me excited to try out like Raikou. It was really interesting what he said about Raikou, the way he uses Fortress. Like all these Pokemon that have, you know, a seemingly set way of being used, he's actually gone and done something unique with them that it makes it like, oh, you can do that actually. That's not a bad idea. It doesn't sound like your team even has like a traditional rock resist on it, so can you just not put a... I guess it's got Yama Claydol, that's probably enough, and like Ludi can sort of help. You got enough going on?
I have 3 rock resist, and they're not the most sturdy rock resists in the world, but together they are strong.
Sometimes that's enough, I guess. We'll bring it back to Smash for a bit, if you don't mind. We got a question from Gus SSBU. What are your top 3 favorite and least favorite characters to play against in Ultimate?
Good question. Let's start with my favorites. I think traditionally I've always liked playing against harder matches. So for Megaman, you might think, or well, people familiar with Megaman might think like Pikachu or Fox is like really difficult characters to deal with. And I agree to an extent, but that's kind of what makes them so fun for me, because now it's like, oh baby, now I get to think about like new ways to win the game given these challenging circumstances. And so I'll put Pikachu and Fox. And let's say what's another character I like? Oh, I like fighting Steve as well. Steve just being hard for the whole world seemingly, and I've taken it upon myself to like really understand the character to counterplay him, and it just feels really nice. It all works out. Yeah, I think that's definitely the mark of a character you like playing again, or at least I like playing again. Someone where you can put in the work to beat, and then you beat, and it feels amazing. And then let's say top 3 or bottom 3 character I like to play. I think inversely, I hate playing against characters that are like quote unquote easy, because I feel like I take it too lax. I let my guard down versus these characters, and then it becomes frustrating when I'm losing, and then like part of me is, man, this was supposed to be easy or something like that, and it's just a trap, really. Thinking in this way is a trap. Oh, it's an easy match. I should
That's
make
very
quick
true.
work of this. I guess I haven't actually named any specific characters. Let's say
Like low tiers that are supposed to be
yeah,
bad,
it's gonna be
bad
low
against you.
tiers. I'll say like King DDD, the big penguin. He is a known like sandbag or like training doll for Mega Man. But I've been walloped a few times by King DDD just because I thought it would be. Let's see who else. Oh, I used to hate playing Sora. He's just a tad wacky, like too slow. He moves very, very slow. But I've grown to like him. But I'll still just mention. And then let's say third character I just like play against. Oh, I used to hate playing against other Mega Men. That was annoying. I see now what I've been doing to others. Oh, tasted my own medicine. This is awful.
Oh yeah. Sometimes the mirror match can be really awkward. Like in Melee, I used to play Peach. The Peach mirror is a super weird one because you're both kind of slow. Neutral is awkward. You're kind of just floating. Neither of you want to approach, and you're just chucking turnips at each other. It's a bit weird. I imagine it's sort of similar to the Mega Man mirror. 2 weird projectile characters. Like if it's Mega Man against like a Fox, it's sort of a straightforward. Like Mega Man is sort of trying to zone Fox, and Fox is trying to get in. Like each has a role, but Mega Man versus Mega Man, what are you even doing there? It's like, who's the aggressor here?
It looks like a circus.
Oh yeah.
It looks like you bought tickets to like Cirque du Soleil or whatever. You just
With all
see
the stuff
people
on
like
screen.
trapezing, yeah, juggling cannonballs, what have you.
We got a question. Narnia JGC who asked, Peabnut, what do you think of my dog? And the dog is pictured here. I'll send you an image on Discord. What do you think
Let's
of the
take a
dog
peek
here?
at this. Wow, it looks like a snow cone. Like if you look at the body as like a cone, and then the top as like the snow of the snow cone, then it looks
That's true.
appealing.
Looks
Yeah.
like
That
shaved
is
ice.
a cute dog. Yeah, shaved ice. Good dog. Thank you for the picture of your dog, Narnia.
Thank you for that. Got an interesting question from Hobbs, who asked, it seems you like to pick one strategy in any game you pick up and maximize your skills and abilities with that one strategy, as opposed to diversifying the characters and roles that you choose to play. Are there any benefits to this that aren't as obvious? Do you agree with that? Is
Yes.
that what you do?
Yes, that is definitely what I do. I've been playing Mega Man since Smash 4 came out, so we're nearing. Yeah, it's been about a decade.
No character switch
and
or anything. Yeah.
No character switch. And for Pokemon, same thing. I've just been running this Hariyama team, Hariyama Ludicolo mixed offense, whatever, for about a year now, without grinding any other team. So I do like to just pick one thing and then go at it until forever. And the benefit to it, in my mind, is that it's kind of what we mentioned earlier with Melee and with Gen 3. Your options are limited. Here, it's limited by my choice. Sure, I could pick other things, but I'll just pick this one thing that I really like. Now with my options being limited, I now have like creative freedom to do what I want with what I have, and I can problem solve with the tools that I have available. I can try to make the most of it. It's a valuable skill in my opinion to be able to maximize what you have. A cool challenge I've given to my Mega Man friends recently, and by recently I mean just last night, was I tasked them with going on quick play or like online matchmaking and play Mega Man and only use 3 moves and see if you can win the game. And it's a fun challenge because not only are we winning sometimes, but whenever we lose, we actually have to rethink how we use the moves. And then we replay that same person, and then we try to win with our new understanding. So you are, even though in a sense you are limited, in another sense you are unlimited, because there's just infinite ways to do, to use these moves that you are limited to.
That's a great exercise. And I like that approach in Pokemon too. You've committed to this one team, and that might be how you've achieved such solid ideas of your game plan against specific things that crop up all the time. You've, rather than put in something like a Pursuit Tower on your team to beat the Gengar, you're like, alright, how do I beat Gengar with these guys? Is it that bad if I take the burn here? How does that play out? It's like you're testing it in real time, seeing how it actually is, and it's not as bad as it feels. And that informs how you play it in the future. You're just perfecting all the different lines with one team.
Yeah. It's probably like the same foundation of testing that ABR did to come to his conclusions.
Yeah, a lot of his teams look like they're
matter.
weak to something. Like, I remember his Misdreavus team that became popular, the Misdreavus Superman. I always thought it looked really bad against Mag plus Snorlax, because it's like Skarm, and then a bunch of guys pretty bad against Snorlax. So Mag plus Snorlax would kind of tear it apart. But then he had I asked him about it, and he had some line for that, where he would somehow invite the Snorlax to not Shadow Ball or something, get the Misdreavus in. He's got the Perish Song option. Like, there was a specific sequence of things he does to deal with the matchup. I don't remember exactly, but it's interesting. Like, a team looks bad on the surface to one matchup, but there's actually some way you'd never thought of to beat it.
And those Eureka moments keep me coming back.
I love the way ABR builds teams as well, where like his Dusclops team has Imprison on the Dusclops. I don't know why no one ever thought of that, but it destroys Snorlax because you run Shadow Ball and Rest on the Dusclops, and they can't Rest or Shadow Ball now. So they can't hit you super effectively, and they can't heal themselves. So it's just like brilliant. I don't know why no one thought of that before, but it's
I didn't realize, was ABR the originator of Imprison Dusclop?
Maybe not, but it's the first time I've ever seen it. I think in that slot people used to run different stuff in the 4th move slot for Dusclops.
It's this ingenuity that keeps the metagame as a whole flowing.
And even Psych Up on Sableye too is just a way to also 1v1 the enemy Snorlax. I thought that was brilliant. because you just copy the defensive boosts, knock them off, and you can 1v1 unless they crit, pretty much, which sometimes they do crit, but it's pretty good. It's another plan against a matchup to squeeze in just on a move slot.
Yeah. So that's peak gaming, right?
Let's get one more question in here from Max Ketchum, fellow Smash gamer. Peabnut, what is it like to be such a peak gamer? Many have been asking.
What's it like? Well, you might think it's like glamorous or I don't know. You might think that I'm spending like many of my days on my super yacht reserved for peak gamers, but that's not at all what it's like. It's actually quite how do I put this? Every day is a little different when you seek to game, because you'll pull up on the ladder and you'll never, okay, well, you might meet like EV0 on the ladder a few times, but like every time you play EV0 or whatever other ladder monster, you always play it a little different. So every day it's like a box of chocolates, I think Forrest Gump said, right? You never know what you're gonna get. That's my answer.
And isn't that beautiful? The life of a gamer is one of variety, one of ever-changing variables. And isn't that what life is about? We kind of have the same dull routines every day. We've got to spice it up with some camera-upped gaming or something. To feel something in this cruel world, we need to play Megaman instead of Steve.
Yep. Caught me red-handed.
And isn't that a philosophy that we can get behind? Well, thank you, Peabnut. I'll let you get to whatever you have to do. And this has been an illuminating conversation that I hope the fans appreciate as much as I did.
Thank you once again, Jim, for having me. I had fun.
Of course.
Bye-bye now.
See ya.